Your Excellency, welcome. So we are here at LEAP, a conference that is about a fundamental transformation in the way the world and the kingdom works. And what's interesting about your curriculum vitae is that you have worked in the health sector, you have worked in the energy and materials and industry space, and now you are the Minister for Investment. So you have seen firsthand at every level the kind of integration that it takes to create a real transformation. So maybe can you just tell me about how the transformation in the kingdom has come about over the 5 decades that you've been leading this, and where is it going from here?
Well, thank you very much, Will. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah jami'an. This event in itself, I think, is a manifestation of a transforming nation. Population, business community, government, which is providing the infrastructure to do this. And just to see the buzz outside is quite electrifying, literally and figuratively. But if you want my take, I would take it even before I was part of the business community and just seeing it as a citizen, being born in the 50s of the last century, yes. Seeing the beginnings of the emergence of the modern Saudi Arabia in the 60s and early 70s, and how the kingdom rapidly transformed from an agrarian, less developed economy. I saw the entry of modern transportation, believe it or not.
Wow.
As a child, growing and playing on the mud streets, unpaved streets of Riyadh, mud houses around me, and just the sight of a car was something to be amazed by for us as kids. We used to chase cars when they would occasionally pass by our streets. And of course, fast forward, we had an energy transformation. We connected the entire kingdom to electricity and modern transport. And while also providing the fuel to transform the global economy. I think if you think of the emergence of Asia and Africa and developing countries from poverty to middle class status where they are today, a lot of it was fueled and enabled by energy that came out of Saudi Arabia, not only as an endowment of natural resources, but the ability of its leadership and people to transfer that endowment to the rest of the world. So after we energized the kingdom and provided the energy wave, we had the industrial wave in the 70s and 80s, where we brought the gas that was being flared in the kingdom to become a fuel for industrialization and economic development, diversification, jobs, business opportunities and investment opportunities. And many entrepreneurial Saudis took advantage of that to become global business leaders today. 90s and early 2000, we had digitization. And of course, I witnessed how the kingdom transferred data that was analog on paper to digital. At that stage, presided over many programs to do that, and the kingdom was an early adopter of many digital inventions and innovations. In Aramco, we were the largest ERP system by SAP
really?
back in the 90s. Saudi Aramco, actually, even back in the 80s, was the first global company to build a global procurement system. And all of our vendors who did not have computer systems were mandated by Saudi Aramco to install terminals that was connected to a special system that was built by Aramco by itself to do its global procurement and logistics. This is late 70s, early 80s. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the kingdom is able to adopt this technology, and in select areas, we've actually been able to create them. I'll tell you another experience that I had myself.
Please.
more than 20 years ago in Saudi Aramco, virtual reality was not a game, was not something to be bewildered with, it was an application. Our petroleum engineers and geologists at Saudi Aramco were actually walking and visualizing our giant oil and gas fields and deciding where to position the wells, how to get the maximum oil recovery depending on the optimum placement. They were integrating data from multiple sources, like well logs, like seismic, like imaging from satellite and aeromagnetic data into these complex models. But I think more importantly, they were bringing visualization as a tool. So that was an early application of augmented reality and virtual reality in a field that was translating into the tens of billions of dollars of value and enhanced oil recovery and gas recovery that made Saudi Aramco continuously in the lead. Sensors were being applied in the kingdom, again, 20, 30 years ago to track every molecule that we produced, whether it was being produced or occasionally if it was being leaked or flared. We were able to measure it within Saudi Aramco, and today the company boasts the lowest level of carbon emissions, methane emissions in the industry while delivering energy to the rest of the world at the highest level. Just the last couple of years with COVID, I think you've seen and everybody else has seen and benefited from the kingdom's ability to manage the pandemic and to track its progression within the population, because we had an early adoption of integrated data management going back 5-6 years ago. We worked with IBM actually at the Ministry of Health. You mentioned my short stint as Minister of Health, and we developed for Saudi Arabia an application called Husn, which allowed us to track all cases that had contracted MERS at that time. So that infrastructure of technology and data management back then allowed us today to comfortably and confidently manage what is a much more contagious disease, which is COVID-19. So all of this tells me that the kingdom is well experienced in transforming itself from one level of development to the other. Of course, the future, some of it is known, and we know about the emerging technologies of the metaverse, virtual reality, and the multidimensional digitalization that's taken place. We know about the need for integration. We know about the Internet of Things. And there are unknown evolutions that are going to take place. And some of it will be quite transformative. But one thing I know, and is known to me, is the kingdom is a quick adapter. We have the will of the leadership. We have the enablement of our government. And we have some fantastic population that is able to skill itself. And now, in this new generation, we have a great class of entrepreneurs, young Saudi male and female entrepreneurs that are taking on these opportunities and challenges and are going to create innovations, not only for the kingdom, but just like we've created energy and solutions that have been adopted around the world, I am sure that the next phase of digital economy that is started to emerge and that we will see it being shaped will have a big component of it being shaped right here in Saudi Arabia.
Now, you can imagine before I speak to somebody like you, I do my research to try to understand. I had no idea about how much Saudi had been leading in that digital transformation as far back as the 70s. But you know, when you talk about where we're going from here, we are on the cusp of an intergenerational change. And I'm wondering if you can make it real for us here, kind of like you did just a moment ago. from the Ministry of Investment perspective, what are the opportunities in the kingdom today for businesses within the digital economy?
Well, as I'm sure everybody knows, Saudi Arabia is by far the largest digital economy, the largest economy overall in the broader region, Middle East, not just the GCC. And this sector is growing at least at 7% per annum. And I think a lot of the growth is not just demand-driven, but supply-driven. The more technology that the sector and the participants in the sector are able to provide, the more demand, and it's a virtuous cycle. Every innovation, every application develops other innovations and applications around it. Safe estimates of where Saudi Arabia market is going to be is around 250 billion riyals by 2030, from about 140, and I think that's very conservative. That is just addressing the Saudi market alone. That is a significant market that is growing at very fast clip. A lot of the growth, of course, the kingdom, as we all know, has the highest penetration, highest speed internet, 4G, 5G connectivity in the kingdom is second to none within the region and within the leading 5-6 economies globally. So infrastructure and connectivity will continue to grow, but I don't think they're going to be growing at the fastest rate. I think services and software and applications are going to take the lead, and of course they will also pull the need for infrastructure as well. So I would advise, and I would just make sure that we're all able to monetize and to take advantage of the infrastructure that has been provided and the one that is being provided. On the infrastructure itself, obviously data centers, cloud computing is fundamental and foundational, and we have a very ambitious strategy. His Excellency Minister Suwaha has announced for data centers alone about $20 billion of investment.
Wow.
But of course we know that these investments are only the nucleus. Around them comes, as I mentioned, all of the services, the software, the applications, the innovations, and the great opportunities in sectors like fintech, agtech. I think managing the climate and delivering on our green initiatives, delivering on our net zero obligation is all going to be enabled by technology. I'm seeing images of space here around us, surrounding us on the screen. So space technology is still unaddressed in the kingdom. And it's, you know, the confluence of space, technology, software, you know, the metaverse applications that are going to come are going to penetrate not only our lifestyles and what we do in our everyday life, but I think more importantly, how every company works and does and addresses its market. And many of these applications are unknown, but they're available for innovators to take advantage of them. So the investments are going to be in the tens of billions of dollars. I use one example, which is data sector, but data centers, but the rest are also right there, obviously AI and data management, and they're all going to be supported and enabled by enabling regulations and enabling incentives that our ministry, together with our partners, and enabling capital that has been put aside to co-finance some of these opportunities together with the investors.
Well, in the last couple of minutes that we have left, you've worked with generations of Saudis, and you've had the chance to see all of them up close. What's different about this new generation, and how can we build the digital skills that every generation like this needs to thrive?
Well, I think this generation, like their peers in all developed economies, and Saudi Arabia is a developed economy, are restless. They're smart, of course, but they're also restless, and they want to achieve what my generation would wait 10 to 20 years, they want to achieve it yesterday.
Absolutely.
And that's a good thing. I say it with positivity because it is allowing us to climb that learning curve and that transformational journey that we're on very, very fast. We've seen it in the startups that are coming. We've seen it in the skilling of our young people. They're enabled in Saudi Arabia by a great educational system. I am a product myself of the Saudi education system. I studied at Saudi universities as well as at global university, and I can tell you that our universities are equal, if not better, than many of our peers globally, and we have research universities as well as solid educational universities. Men and women are graduating. They're enabled. This generation is enabled, and they're inspired. And what inspires them, in addition to the opportunities that they see, in addition to the ambition, in addition to the confidence that is in their DNA, what inspires them is our leader. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is a young leader that is inspiring the region and the rest of the world with his vision and his can-do attitude and his ability to deliver and his willingness to take risk on his people, as well as create the enabling environment. So all of it is coming together to unleash the power of this young, able, smart, ambitious generation that is going to take us to the next level and to the next economic revolution that will build on the ones I mentioned earlier.
So we hear people talk about transformation all the time, but I cannot tell you what an honor it is to be in a place and to be talking with a person who's actually doing it. Can we get a wonderful hand for His Excellency the Minister?
Thank you.